Sunday nights, how many angry texts are you fielding from owners, players, coaches?
A lot.
Yeah. Welcome to Fitz and Whit. I am Fitz, and that is my friend Whit, and this is a Wave original. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to give us 5 stars. But again, only give them to us if we earned it. Follow us on social media at Fitz and Whit. That's Fitz A-N-D Whit. New episodes coming at you every Wednesday.
All right, Fitz, we're back from the RV trip, and buddy, I still enjoy getting a chance to talk to you. That's for sure.
We made it, man.
We made it. You know, people keep asking me, are you tired? And I'm like, no, I'm great. Actually, it was fantastic, and I loved it, but I am happy to be back with the family.
Energized.
We're going to dive a little bit into week 6 and some of the big stories from last week, particularly defensive.
The Bills.
Oh, it's okay, buddy. I'll comfort you in this conversation. We're also going to dive into a particular defensive trend that you are glad to see go. We're going to determine who the worst team in the NFL is. Spoiler alert, Fitz doesn't think it's the 0-6 Jets. I would love to hear this conversation.
It's not.
Your fascination with the room at Windstar Farms where they breed the horses, we're going to hear a little bit about. The Fitz and Whits podcast is also sponsoring a rocket going to space. That's exciting to talk about. Plus, Hank is finally back, baby, and he's handing out L's. He's ready to get him another dub, Fitz.
Ridiculous.
But first, you know what, Fitz, we got to do now. Our guest today needs no introduction. He's the man at the helm of the NFL ship. And for some reason, he not only let us into his office, he let me sit behind the desk, baby. I sat in the chair, Fitz. Give a big Fitz and Whit welcome to our friend, the commish, Roger Goodell.
Well, Roger, thank you for having us today. You're going to have to excuse us. There's a little bit of tension here. We just got off a bus. We've been on the bus for a week together. We've learned a lot about each other. Very intimate in many different ways, including
some things we didn't want to know.
Yes. But it got me thinking and made me curious. RV trips. Have you ever been on a long cross-country trip before in a bus?
Yeah, I didn't make it all the way across the country, but Madden and I went on one of the Madden tour bus
You
rides.
did?
Yeah, for summer training camp, and probably spent 4 or 5 days together. It was a lot of fun, though. It was fun, but I did stay in a hotel. I did not sleep on the bus. Okay. So yeah.
Oh, so you half-assed.
It was a half-ass way.
Yeah.
I can imagine we get the honor, especially with flying with Al throughout the seasons. I can imagine riding on a bus with Madden. There had to be some things that stories you got to listen to and him talk about that had to be really special, because that's my greatest part is riding with Al Michaels and him telling me stories of sports history.
Seeing it all through Madden's eyes and hear him articulate. And it's the way he is on television, exactly the way he is in person. You guys know that. And he loves to talk about football. He loves to talk about people. He loves to go and do something different involving people. We used to get off the bus to get something to eat, and the funniest moment was late at night. We got into a Chili's, and we were all hungry, and I walked up and I said, "I'll just have a chili," and the young woman said, "We don't have chili." And Coach went into his
"Oh no,
you don't have chili. You can't have chili. How do you not have chili at Chili's?" And
the name is Chili.
But it's just he is who he is, and what a great man, a remarkable guy. But the time to talk about football and what's working and what's not working, his perspective on things is it's amazing. I'll never forget that trip.
That's awesome. Well, I think first and foremost for us, we have to tell you thank you. And this TNF schedule, best we've ever had.
Oh my goodness.
It has been unbelievable. So we first want to say just thank you for your faith in us. And also as we continue to build this partnership through NFL on Prime, man, thank you so much, because it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, but it's also been great for our fans. You've seen the ratings go up every year. You've made it appointment television. And you've made it more fun and exciting. And I think the games have been spectacular. That always helps, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. I think coaches and players have learned to adjust to that short week and how they're going to play. And, frankly, all our games have been great across the board. It's just, I mean, the players and coaches have just done an amazing job.
Yeah, I think the parity, which I think is what we're always striving for, has been exceptional. It's fun to see you at a lot of these games, too. What is the moment when you walk into these stadiums that reminds you why you love this game so much?
the football itself. I mean, and the fans' reaction to it. Ultimately, I get just as excited walking into a stadium as I did 50 years ago. For me, it's like a kid, and to know that you think about and you understand all the work that goes into that. The off seasons, all the preparation, the competition committees, all the things that you do to prepare for it, and the clubs do to prepare for it, and then to see it come together. And even setting the schedule, working on the schedule, trying to balance everybody's schedule from a competitive standpoint, broadcast side. How do we do that and put the best piece together in April when you have no idea what it's going to be like come October?
Yeah.
Because of the competitiveness of the league. So it's just every day is sort of like another great moment for all of us to just enjoy. Sometimes they're not always enjoyment, but it's part of what makes the game so great.
Yeah, and we do appreciate, too, you giving us at Green Bay early in the season, at Buffalo.
Tony Gonzalez especially.
Early in the season, yeah. Tony thanks you. He wanted us to tell you that.
There's nothing better than going to those cold weather sites, so playoff time will be fun.
You're right, and we enjoy the cold weather too. Though I think you jumped in an ice bath in Chicago last year.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So
that was a good one.
Thank you.
And usually you're taking your shirt off in Buffalo games.
They make me do it. It's a tradition at this point. So tradition I know you love watching.
Roger, I think like our time really went along right when we got into the league. With you taking over this position, and I think of like at the beginning. Probably the persona, or like just the thought was, Roger the enforcer a little bit, because there were so many things that really the game was changing a ton. As I always say, we kind of played in that era of it felt like the game changed so many different ways over my 16 years through training camp practices, through rules and everything else. But over the years, I think what's been so cool to watch is we go from this, maybe that was the persona Roger Goodell, the enforcer of the rules of the league and things changing, to realizing that there's a lot of love and cheers with kids running to hug you on draft day. And that's like the thing they're talking about and they're the most excited about. And hearing players constantly talking about you showing up for them in their lives outside of the football field. Did that approach ever change? Or do you think it's just over time when people got to know who you were, that's what we see more and more?
Wait, it's an interesting question. I never had, I started as an intern here, but then I went to the Jets. And as a young intern, I got to see the players and work with them every day. I was the kid who went in and pulled you out of the locker room for interviews. And it was a tough year. I mean, they went to the AFC Championship the year before and then fizzled out. We didn't even make the playoffs. So for me, I was able to be there with the players' experience. I still stay in touch with a lot of those guys. So my perspective on the importance of the players and the relationship with the players never changed. The enforcer stuff was more of, I thought it was bad for the reputation of all our players that you had a few guys that weren't holding the standards for all of us. And at the end of the day, they start looking, fans and others sort of saying, well, that's what NFL players are. And they don't talk about an individual, they talk about the group. We're a victim of one perspective that is not in the best interest. And I think our players deserve to be looked at in the highest light, because of what they do on and off the field. And I think they're extraordinary. So anything that detracts from that, I get pissed off. Yeah. And I'll defend it. But we also have to do our part, right? And I think our guys do amazing things. Now, the things happen, but I think our guys are amazing on and off the field. And I appreciate the contributions they make to our game. And I don't mean by playing the game. I mean by their perspective and what they bring. When we go through collective bargaining, a lot of the best ideas come from that side of the table. And some of the people who sit there with us at the table. Yep. Both of you do. You have one on your show who went through the last negotiation with, that always has a point of view, and you mash it up, right? You figure it out, and you understand that perspective. And then you got, a lot of times you get on the other side, you got that traditional. And my job is to try to figure out, okay, how do we make all of this work? How does it work for the players? How does it work for the teams? How does it work for our fans ultimately? And that's sort of the proudest thing for me, is that I think we've been able to figure that out ultimately. I mean, the game's in a good place, but I think most people would say that, whether they're players, coaches, fans, or teams.
Yeah, and I just wanted to remind you that you're sitting here with the only Walter Payton Man of the Year Award winner that's been ejected from not one but 2 games.
Thank you. That's a great
It's
way
for
to...
what you do off the field.
It's for
not
what you do
what you
off
do
the
on
field.
the field.
Okay,
Right?
but we got to talk about
award.
We've got the Lombardi Trophy over there, best team award that you could possibly earn, and then that one right there, which you had mentioned was the best individual award you think you can earn as a player. Why is that so special, the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award?
Because I think it does celebrate the greatness of our players and what they do. I'm always amazed at what they do in their communities and their families do, and how they make a difference in the community. And I don't know if people appreciate that enough. So we want to celebrate it. And so part of honors is celebrating our players. We also, that's the last award to be given at the end of the night to someone that is really hard to choose because we have so many great people. And that's the award that goes last because it represents, I think the most important thing is who we are as people ultimately and what we give back to our communities. And that man deserved to win it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of great people, this year we're going to have our first ever Offensive Line Award, the Protect of the Year Award, right?
I'm surprised it took you this long
Did
to bring it up.
you think it was going to take a while for me to work that in?
I thought we were leading off with that one. Yeah.
I did too, Fitz, actually.
No, but I've said this. Deion Dawkins and I got a chance to sit down for Thursday Night Football and talk about this. And obviously it was something he's really passionate about. A lot of former players are as well. What excites you about this award and maybe just the awareness it can bring to the NFL fans of how special that position is to our game?
Well, I think it's great when people get a different perspective of the game and get insight into that game and understanding what offensive linemen actually do. I mean, they don't get enough credit for what they do. And at the end of the day, controlling the offensive line that's key, right? As a quarterback or as a running back or frankly, even as a defense, because you can control the football, you're keeping the other guys off the field. So I think offensive line is one of those positions that if we give the fans more access to understand what it takes. And it's also, that position where you have to be the greatest teammate. You gotta know. All 5 of those guys up front better know what's going on. And I just feel it's the appreciation for that is fun. And to see the pride that you guys had and the desire to try to bring more light to that and to honor the guys who do it well. I think that's a great thing. And so, we had great input from a lot of players. You and a lot of other players led the way, and I think it's going to be fun for the fans. I think everyone will have fun with it, and that's what they should do.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because when I look at it, to me, it's what makes football unique. It's what separates us. In basketball, you can have your 5-on-5s, and everyone's really got a chance to score and have an opportunity to have impact in the game. Baseball, the same way. In football, we're the only sport that has a position that's literally there to serve, and they're there to stand in the way, pave a path for somebody else to be successful. And I think that's what brings humanity and people to the game of football, because there is this element of thriving and there's an element of service and standing in the way and protecting each other that I think brings so much pride to our game and the toughness it takes to do it. I think that's why I'm really excited about it. And I know Fitz knows all too well, so he's played behind a lot of offensive lines, how passionate I am about it. But I think that's what's really going to be cool. And then the other opportunity to me is when you think of all these linemen that have played since this game started, that have the opportunity to watch, next February, and they're going to get a chance to see one of their own stand on a stage beside a quarterback, beside a defensive lineman or a defender or a skill player who's the most important person to their team. To have those guys get to have that moment of like, we matter too. I think that's going to be epic and really cool.
You know what, though? There's a lot of offensive linemen right now. I mean, when I watch the games, the amount of commercials that you guys are in.
Hey, it's our time.
You're having a real time right now. You guys are having a real moment right now. You really are. And I think, obviously, Jason Kelsey has been a great steward for the game too, but it's fun to see him. It's fun to see Whit and what are your little J.C. Penney's, little Geico commercial, all those things. That's cool because it just wasn't the way. But I think now, especially with all the analytics and the grading systems, and even just a team like Detroit, you start to realize how important these guys are.
Yeah, and I think most of the attention they get is when a flag goes, and that shouldn't be, right? Because they're out there every day, and they're out there making the way, and the other people are probably getting the credit. But I find the offensive linemen probably the best leaders, and I say that for all the experience I've had off the field. They do their homework, they come prepared, They're ready to mash it up and to talk about something and try to get to a better place. And they care about the team. And so it's the bigger picture that matters, right? It's not my success. It's the success of what we're trying to accomplish together. That's really important.
I've got a Mount Rushmore in my life of hardest handshakes. Adrian Peterson, Rex Ryan, made my son cry at the Super Bowl in Houston, and Roger Goodell.
Wow.
I will say though, like, talking about your relationships with players and things, we moved past the handshake to the dap up and the hug now. Yeah. So I don't know that handshake is still as firm as it once was. But what about the importance of your relationship with not just the current players, but the players that are retired, that have been through the game? I think that's something that I really appreciate. And it seems to me like you put a lot of effort and importance into it.
I do. One, I enjoy it, most importantly. Two is you guys have given so much to the game, whether you're a former player, a current player, or the future player. But their perspectives and the things that they've learned from the game, and the way they still contribute back to the game. You guys are still contributing every week for us and every day. And I want all those guys to contribute because I think they're part of the game. They're part of the history in some cases if you're a former player, but they're part of the future of the game. And we should celebrate that. We should give them the access. The more our fans know about our players, the better off we are. And they really contribute to this game. And they give me ideas that I would have never dreamed of, but they talk about it all the time. I remember a story at the Pro Bowl, and I was the key person at the league at the Pro Bowl. This is back in the early 90s. And we were having trouble getting quarterbacks to play. And we had two quarterbacks on the AFC and the NFC. And this is when they really played. There was real contact, real football. And I sat down with Warren Moon, and we were sitting at lunch, and I go, Warren, what do you think? And Warren said, add a third quarterback. And I said, Warren, I can't get two to play. How do you expect to get three? And then he explained the reasoning behind it, which is, hey, if you're one of two and the other guy goes down, you got to play the whole rest of the game. And if you get three, we still can play a reasonable amount of time rather than the entire game. And we added three, and it worked. Yeah. And so my point is, I don't think that would have come from anybody else. But you ask the guy who's at the source for his perspective, and they give you something you would have never thought of. And I always remember that lesson. That was 30 some odd years ago.
I wish Warren would have said add 8 of them. So I could
you can keep your job a little longer.
He's gone to Hawaii once, maybe. I don't know.
Roger, we're coming up on year 20 next year, almost 2 decades at the helm. I mean, I just think how much the game has changed and all the things that's gone with it. When you look back, what stands out to you as the biggest evolution in either the game or just in yourself?
I think one thing you have to really do with this game is grow with it. There's no way I could have anticipated the things that we were going to be challenged with. It's just it's unimaginable. But you have to grow with that, right? And you have to understand, and they're basics of how you manage the league and how you try to bring everyone together. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that the game continues to become more and more popular ultimately. I also am incredibly proud of the fact that we were able to do that while making the game safer. People never accepted that we could make the game safer and better at the same time. And I think we've done that. And we've done that with a lot of help from a lot of folks, right? The players, the coaches, our medical folks. All of us had to believe in that ultimately to get to that place. And I think seeing our players healthier during the season and after their careers, that's all good for the game ultimately. And I just think people didn't believe we could do that. So I'm very proud of that. And I think the league should be very proud of it. And it's also opened up other doors. It's allowed us to sort of relook at the season structure, go to 17 games, and do it in a way that we feel like the players can manage that. Yep. And the teams. And that opened that door, ultimately. If we didn't make the game safer, in my view, we wouldn't have gotten to that. And I think that's a great thing for the fans, ultimately. They want to see on the field. They want to see off the field. Yep. And data has allowed us to really do that. The second is just making the game more accessible. I mean, I'm really proud of the fact that our the way we present our games. We do it with the best partners. We've added new partners like Amazon. We've used technology to bring different access and a different platform. So our game is accessible to the largest number of people. And I think that's a different path than a lot of others have taken. And people get to see our game. They get to see every aspect of it. And that's great for the fans. And I always say, there's never been a better time to be a fan. When I was a kid, I had to wait till Monday night to watch the highlights. That doesn't happen anymore, right? You get them right there. Yeah. And our game isn't about highlights, but it's sure great to have that as a supplement and an access point for it. I think people love to watch the drama and the live aspect of our game, and never been better.
Yeah, and the push for the global games, the streaming, and now flag football being in the Olympics, you just start to think of this 10, 15-year time horizon. What's next? What are we going to see in the next 10 or 15 years?
I think we're really going to see our game become global. You were talking about Jason Kelsey. I'm at the game, and all of a sudden he walks in the suite in Ireland. Yeah. And I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I decided to come over and play golf for a little bit and come over and enjoy the game." And so, we had a few pints and just enjoyed the game. And every player that I talked to over there, which was a lot, how was the experience? What was good? What was bad? They love the idea that they're taking the game global, that they're part of that they're getting to expand their brands on a global basis. But to be part of history and bringing the game to the world, that's a cool thing.
I went over to Dublin this summer and did 4 shows, essentially just with any NFL fans that wanted to come and watch. And I was shocked. Played in London once before, but shocked at the passion that they had. And it was not surface level understanding of the NFL. I mean, they're true fans that want to know the ins and the outs. And I walked away from that experience thinking, man, this global expansion thing is working because they love the game. They all have their teams that they root for. There were a ton of Dan Marino fans, so they're kind of Dolphins fans over there from the way that it used to air. But their accessibility, I think, is really driving the game over there as well.
And it's not just Ireland. It's everywhere we play. Yeah. Every time we play, and you come back the next year, you see how it's evolved, how it's elevated, how the fans are better educated, how our media partners are more interested in looking for different ways to engage, how our sponsors are more people wearing the merchandise, and we're raising the bar for that. We have to do a better job in every one of those levels to make that experience better for our fans. But you go to an NFL game internationally and people walk away saying, "Wow, I didn't think you could entertain us with all the other things outside of the game." The music, the singing, the video boards, every aspect of the game is something that I think international fans appreciate, and it's helped make our game grow faster ultimately. Yeah.
I think it's cool because everywhere you look, the game of football is growing, and internationally, and also right here at home. I know as dads of young daughters, I think for us, just seeing the way flag football is exploding for young ladies wanting to play the game. Why has that been personal to you in the league, and how cool is it to see that?
Well, listen, I want people to have access to our game, and playing our game, I think, is it wasn't really that available for young women to play. And I'm a father of 2 girls myself, and I want people to have that opportunity to play it. And I think they grow from it. One of my favorite things was a few years ago being at a 49ers game, and Steve Young came up to say hi, and he had his whole team. He was coaching his daughter's flag football team. And he had tears in his eyes talking about coaching them. Talking about, it made me fall in love with the game again, seeing and watching these young women who are great athletes get a chance to play the game I love, and to be able to show them all the great benefits of playing this game. And he brought them all up, and all 32 of them, and 2 of them are his daughters, but you see these young women who are great athletes. We have the chance to play our game and to understand the teamwork and the discipline and the decisions that have to be made on the field and how it affects them off the field. You see that maturity, and you see that sense of pride, and confidence ultimately. And there's nothing more important for young women. And so I think our game can add a lot to people's lives. And I think that's a good thing for us to share. And the Olympics is going to be a stage. There's no bigger stage from an international standpoint. And I was just over at the IOC last week between Ireland and the London game and talking about the plans for how we're going to do that. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be great. And I think a lot of kids are going to really benefit from this.
If you need some linemen referees, you just let me know. Okay?
Can you keep up with the Whit?
I'll hold the
You
chains.
can just be the off the bus guy. You can walk off the bus. Like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'll lead them off the bus. Yeah.
One of the best moments for me this year is one of my daughters texting me about fantasy football and whether she should draft Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. But it's like just the driving interest in that. And
what'd you say, Fitz?
I'm not going to tell you because it doesn't look like a good opinion right now. But that part of it for me, I was lucky because I played long enough to where I got to have my oldest sons and my oldest daughters kind of a part of it and a part of the locker room, and they got to pick out their favorite players. And still, every time Kyle Van Noy gives an interview, they talk about their friend with the angry eyebrows, but it's cool to be able to include everybody in it. And you can see, we've just seen in our households how much it's grown. I got to ask you the technology part of it and continuing to push innovation. How do you do that without losing the soul of football or losing the soul of the NFL and what it is?
Fitz, that's one of the hardest things, particularly with a successful organization, is how do you balance that tradition versus innovation? And how do you keep moving forward? Because you have to evolve ultimately, but you also have to respect that tradition and finding out where that line is. It's hard. It really is. I mean, even the chain crews, we have new technology that, it may not be necessary to have the chain crew out, but that moment of drama with the chain crew is something that a lot of people love. So it's a hard thing to evolve from. I always sort of run by, you have to embrace technology. Technology is changing our life. It changes the way we play the game. It changes the way we watch the game. We have to embrace it. And we have to sort of use that to make the game better. Officiating is a great example of that. Replay assist. The game is getting faster. It's harder to officiate. I think our guys do a great job, but there's no such thing as perfection on the field, whether you're officiating or playing. And what we want to do is get it right and avoid the big mistakes, because it should be decided amongst the men playing the game. Yeah. And we have really worked hard to obviously improve and educate and try to get the skills up with officials. And I think they have gotten better, but we also have to supplement that with technology. And we have to give them additional technology that can help them look at something that they couldn't necessarily see live. We look at the plays, and you guys are part of it. We look at it for 5 minutes after it's happened, and we still can't decide. These guys have to make decisions like that.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's 7 men and women on that field making those calls, and we have to give them the tools to try to get better and keep up with the game. And I think technology will be that. Will AI be part of officiating in the future? I think it will be. I think we'll be able to use that to help give us a better input so that we can get it right on the field. And I think that's true with every aspect of our game. It's helping this health and safety. It's clearly helping from the ability of fans to be able to appreciate the game, whether it's watching it or playing fantasy football or any other alternative where there's non-football game content and non-game content that is really interesting for people to be able to get closer to the game. And I think we've got to hit every one of those cylinders. And that's what we focus on. How do we bring the game closer to people?
Raj, as we sit here today, part of the reason we're here, I think back to our Amazon seminar, when a lot of folks from NFL offices came to see us, and Jeff and Hans and Don and everybody, and seeing the emotions in their hearts of just what had happened this summer. I think we use this word culture a lot in the game of football about our teams. And I think when we talk about culture, it's how you acknowledge each other. It's how you work together, the way in which we do things, the common beliefs we have. But two of the things that always resonate to me in great cultures are how you acknowledge one another and how you handle adversity. together. And I think the league, all the different things we've been through as a league, as a whole, things that have come up over the years, we never claim to be perfect, but we always claim to respond in the right way. And I think that when you look at those times, who you are really identifies to people what you're about. I know you and I shared a little bit of a text at that time of we knew how people would respond and we'd pull together. And I know that there's a lot of people that people don't realize that make this game happen, that you may not see. They see your face talking, but there's a ton of employees that you represent every time you get a chance to do that. How proud are you of that moment? Obviously, it's something you'd never wish upon us ever to have to go through, but just how people rallied together and all the emotions that were involved this summer with what went on here at the NFL offices.
Yeah, it's the unimaginable. It's so senseless, and it's the impact it has on people. It was tough, and it's, we have incredible people who work here, and the number one thing you want to do is keep them safe. And when that's violated, it's hard. And we ask a lot of them, but we never ask them to be putting their life in danger. And so it's just. It was one of those moments where we had to understand that everyone's going to deal differently with this. And we had to wrap our arms around with them and lift them up for those that needed to be lifted up. We needed to move forward, but we needed to do it with care. We had an employee that was shot and injured. Fortunately, he's going to make a full recovery. But one of the great young men and great people that helped make this league successful. And you could see it in his attitude and every aspect of it. You'll get a kick out of this, Fitz, because I went to see him in the hospital, and he said, "I'm doing great." He said, "I'm a Jets fan. I'm used to this kind of adversity." But that's it. But he's a huge step. But that's the and the sense of humor, but also the resolve to sort of to get through it. And I've never been prouder of our team, and I've been in the league in general. COVID was one of those challenges that nobody thought we could get through. Nobody thought we could play. And we were determined to play. And that goes from working with the players to figure out how are we going to do this safely, working with our network partners to working with our clubs, and finding out how we do it safely and still pull this off in a world of complete uncertainty. But the bigger picture for us was not just to play, it was why we were playing. We're playing because our country needed it, our world needed it. We needed to show that football and normalcy could happen. And for us, it was about staying on time. We'll do the draft. If we have to do it virtually, we'll do it. We'll figure it out. People thought we were crazy, but we figured it out, and we did it, and it ended up being maybe one of the most unique drafts in our history, right out of my basement. Yeah. But the teams pulled together, and then they saw everybody else at home, and I think it was better than the daily White House briefing. I know that, and it brought us to
that's for sure.
It brought us to a new place, I think, and then we got through that hurdle, and then we kept going, and we had to do the CBA over essentially that year with the players and go through all of that. And we started on time. We finished on time. We played every game. And I got to tell you, as a challenge like you're talking about, that was one of the ones that I think will go down in the record books as pulling together to make something happen that I think was really good for our country.
I agree. I always walked away from this. My senior year at LSU was Hurricane Katrina. So obviously affected our campus a lot and a lot of our games. And we had to kind of serve, like in our off time from playing football, we were doing a lot of stuff with the community, and the PMAC became a health triage. So they were bringing people from New Orleans there, and we would help with their beds and all those type things. And it always lived with me. You'd have these conversations, and these people would say, "I lost everything I have, but I got out of there with my 2 season tickets to LSU games. So on Saturday night, if you guys would please beat Ole Miss, It'd make my day.
Isn't that amazing?
No, but it's what you're
that's
saying. It's like they needed those 3 hours in their mind to come watch us play ball, took them away from everything that was going on in their life and every stress and everything of how do I make it tomorrow. And they just enjoyed something that they were in love with and they had a passion for, and they got to just get away from everything else. And it always lived with me as I played, that what an honor it was. And then, 7 months later, my best friend, was killed in action at war 2 weeks after I was drafted. And so for me, a national anthem, an opportunity to play in a football game, like always meant a whole lot more than the X's and O's that were happening on a football game. It was about, man, what a cool job, an opportunity I have in life to go out on this football field and compete, entertain people, and call this my life, because I know that I get to be here for a whole lot of other people that made a whole lot of other things happen. I get this ability. So those two things always stuck out to me. But that's to your point, is it's that football provides this space for people to get away from a lot of things in life that maybe that they're unhappy with or unsettled with. And I think that's something we were able to accomplish.
We're privileged to be part of this. And we're privileged because we can make a difference in our communities. We can make a difference in their lives. Nothing unites people like football.
Yep.
It's just true, whether it's on the NFL level, the pro level, or even high school football or youth football. Yep. It brings people together in a way that I think it's important for our society to have that. Yep. And so we're all lucky, right? And we thank you for what you guys do to make it happen. So.
Well, I don't want to come off as insensitive here. I'm going to take a left-hand turn. I have to ask you this question because I've been thinking about it. It always
makes me nervous when he says this.
When you were talking about COVID, there was a week for me. I was playing for Miami. We played against the Raiders. I got my face mask pulled. I make this miraculous throw. Well, I end up getting COVID, testing positive the next day or 2 days later. Now, my question to you, we were trying to bring some levity to the situation as well in tough times. I used to walk around because you guys would videotape everything in a jockstrap and a mask, bending over, grabbing waters. I did a naked run with my helmet on through the practice facility. Did you ever see that footage?
I didn't, thank God.
Okay, good.
He has it.
We'll show you after we blurred out what needed to be blurred out with a tiny dot. But all right, that's always been on my mind.
And why did you do this?
Because I wanted the people that had to review the boring videos to make sure everybody was
that
masked
he was away
up,
from people,
to at least know that I was masked up.
So everybody would be gone, and he would go in the indoor where he knew there was cameras, and he would just run around in a jockstrap just because he wanted somebody to have to review where he was in the building.
So you never on this desk saw that.
I did not see it.
That makes me feel better about our relationship. So let's just end off with a few lighter questions. Another one that's been a burning question for me to ask you on Sunday nights. How many angry texts are you fielding from owners, players, coaches?
A lot.
Yeah.
I would imagine there's a couple that get a good chuckle, though, because they're coming probably.
Yeah, they're coming. But actually, I usually send a few myself. I mean, our staff loves it when I'm traveling, because when I'm traveling, it's harder for me to see games. Even when I'm at a game. When I'm at a game, I get so distracted. And I can't watch the game, and it's frustrating, but it's also part of the experience because you get a chance to talk to everyone. But when I'm sitting at home, I can sit with my pad and I'm writing down notes the whole time about things I see, things I want to see, things that we should do better. And my staff hates it because I come in Monday morning with, I go down to the officiating room where we do that every Monday, and we go through every play that I would call them controversial or significant impact. And we look at those and we take them in. What can we do to not change that at that point, but avoid that in the future? So I think those inputs are important. I get them from coaches a lot. And you want those because that allows you to go back and sort of say, okay, guys, if we can't fix it today, can we bring this back to the competition committee and think about how we can address this so that it doesn't happen in the future? So the inputs are important. Some of them are funny. Some of them will piss me off too, but that's okay. That's the way it works.
Well, Roger, we couldn't thank you enough for your time, man. I want to just follow up with this as when people look back at this era of football, what do you hope the headline is that they write of your time being the commissioner?
That the game got better, that the NFL got better. Ultimately, that's how we're all judged. Did we make the game for the better for the people who played it, for the people that invest in it, the people that includes fans, because they invest an awful lot in our game. They invest time and energy, and we want to make them proud, right? We want to get better, and we want to make sure that we're giving them everything they want and more. And I think the other thing I'd probably say is that we are seen as something that's important in our world. That we can influence society in a positive way, that we can make the world a better place. And it's not just a football game to us. It's much more than that. We mean much more to our communities, and we should. And we all rise to that occasion. And all of us have that responsibility. And I think as I look back, which I don't do very often, that's what I'll be hopefully looking back at.
That's awesome. Thank you again, man.
But I want one thing. You've been sitting in my seat for this long.
Oh, you want your chair back?
No, I don't want it back. I just want to know what are the things you want to do sitting back there. You've had almost an hour back there. Come on.
What do you think?
What do you think? What's your first move?
Well, my first move, pay offensive line more. No, I'm with you. I always say this is there's not a lot of things I can promise in life, but one of them is any circle I walk in, I will give everything I have to make it better than how I walked into it. And so to me, I see that the same way. So I think that's where you and I have always connected, and I think Fitz and I connect the same way. That's why this bus tour we even went on, it wasn't even about anything, it wasn't a promotion, it wasn't anything else. We wanted an opportunity to do exactly what you just listed. We wanted to go see a bunch of different communities, go into a bunch of restaurants and diners and say hey to people and tell them we appreciate that they watch football. We went to a high school football game, a college football game. We're going to end up at two NFL games. We just wanted a chance to go put our hands on people and let them have the excitement of the NFL roll through their town and us tell them thank you for watching. And that's basically it. And to me, I think that how you make people feel matters. You can say a whole lot of things, but at the end of the day, when you walk away, how you made them feel will resonate and last. And so I think to us, that's what was important on this bus tour. And next year, you're going to have to ride with us a little bit.
That'll be fun. Is there room is there another
There's
bed?
plenty of
Top
room.
bunk. You got to go top bunk, though.
You're on. I'll do it.
Appreciate it.
Heard it here first.
Yeah,
heard
for
it.
sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, Fitz.
Football is back, and so is your chance to cash in like never before with DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Your game day instincts can score you real money fast. Here's the play.
Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats from breakout rookies to elite QBs and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. No gimmicks, no convoluted rules, just you, your player reads, and a shot at big returns. Nail your picks, and you're not just winning, you're stacking. Pick 6 rewards bold play with payouts beyond the minimum if you beat the field.
And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set.
I'm going to go more for Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns.
Oh, I had him too. Okay, I'll pick another one. I'm going to go more for a guy that is back after his 6-game suspension. I think the Chiefs are going to make it a point to get Rashee Rice involved in this football game. I'm going to go more on touchdowns for Rashee Rice. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code Fitz and Whit. That's code Fitz, A-N-D, Whit. Play just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction.
Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable. Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, this next segment is presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Okay, Beardos, another week of NFL action means another week to win big.
We're moving on to Week 7, Whit. We're each going to pick our top 3 locks for players in Week 7's games on DraftKings. Tell me who you got.
I'm going to go more for Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns.
Oh, I had him too. Okay, I'll pick another one.
I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor because I'm on the Colts train now.
Yep.
I'm a fan. And you know what? This guy and his quarterback have got to get it going in the red zone because it's going to define their season. I got to see these two get on the same page in some of these moments. I'm going Devontae Adams more for a touchdown.
I like it. My 3, I'm going to go Kyron Williams, Devontae's teammate. I like the little response that he's had. They've got no choice. They got to trust him. I got more for Kyron Williams getting in the end zone in London. I'm going to pivot from my Jalen Hurts because I love that pick this week, and I'm going to go Tyler Warren because all the dude does is score touchdowns. So
we love the Colts and Rams.
Tyler Warren, and I'm going to go more for a guy that is back after his 6-game suspension. I think the Chiefs are going to make it a point to get Rashee Rice involved in this football game. I'm going to go more on touchdowns for Rashee Rice. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code Fitz and Whit. That's code Fitz, A-N-D, Whit. Play just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction.
Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable. Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limit time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. I can't believe he let you sit in his chair for the whole interview.
His face when he walked in the room and realized I was going to sit in the chair was kind of like, what are you doing in my chair? But he eventually sat down. It was great.
All right, we're incredibly grateful to the commissioner for sitting down with us. Thank you to Roger and the whole team at the NFL for making it happen. And now it's time to get into this week's action. All right, Whit, after 6 weeks, the AFC has gone exactly as we expected. New England, naturally, leads the AFC East. The Bills just lost to Atlanta, the same Atlanta team that lost 30-0 to Carolina in week 3. In the North, Baltimore's 1-5, while the Steelers are standing strong at 4-1. Out West, Kansas City sits third at 3-3. They've lost to the Chargers, Jaguars, and Eagles, who of course were just crushed by the Giants in our Thursday night game. And down South, the conference's best record belongs to... No, not Houston. They started 0-3, but to Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts cruising at 5-1. Everything in the AFC is perfectly normal, Whit, just like we thought.
I mean, listen, here it is.
Going on?
We know nothing. All right, that's what I know. What I've officially come to is this is that part of the year, and I love it because it's like the season starts and we all start making you're having your takes and who you think's doing what. And this is the team this year and this team's rose to the occasion and this team's fallen off. And then there's always what I call the market reset. It's where, the stocks have gotten a little too high and we need a little bit of a reset time. And so I think of it as this is that moment in the season where now everybody's kind of had their response to maybe how they started their season or been unable to carry the energy and really kind of the momentum they had going. Yeah. And now we get a chance to see, all right, who are these teams now when we kind of know what your identity is, who it is that you're trying to establish that this season, this is your football team and your plan really all off season for how you were going to attack this year. And then now the response teams have to how do we stop what that identity is and how do we stop what your plan is every week. And now are you able to kind of adapt and move forward from here?
Yeah, I wrote a little summary down of the NFC too, and that one's the NFC's made a little bit more sense, but you're right. Like there are some teams that are teetering. So the NFC's gone a little bit more according to script. The Eagles are atop the East, though the storm clouds are starting to gather, as we saw. The West is a three-way logjam with the Niners, Seahawks, and Rams all at 4-2, and the North remains a slugfest. Every team is above 500. And the Buccaneers, yes, my Buccaneers, lead not just the South, but the entire conference at 5-1. And here's the thing about that adds to the craziness. Baker has led the Bucs on game-winning drives in 4 of their 5 victories. They needed a last-second field goal to edge out the 0-6 Jets by 2 points, and their defense has allowed the third most points of any team in the NFC. So I just think parity is here to stay. It's the storyline of the NFL thus far, and I am fascinated to see what happens these last 3 months of the season.
I agree. I think the parity is at an all-time high. And I think we see this every year now. It's just starting to feels like more and more. And even some of the teams you put in the bottom of the league and say, this team's it's got zero chance to make the playoffs. I still don't feel good betting against them on a Sunday to lose a game. And it's crazy to think that you can have some of these teams, whether it be the 0-6 Jets, whether it be a Browns team that you don't have a lot of confidence in who they are, that you're still worried they might beat the best team in the league every single week. I think it's made for great TV. It's why the NFL's at an all-time high, because its best team and its worst team are literally just snaps away from each other.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Now, I'll tell you what, I am so happy after watching football this weekend that there is a defensive trend the teams are starting to go away from. And this whole too high shell, bend but don't break,
you hate
hunker
the check
down in the red zone. I hate it. We'll force them to kick field goals. I just don't like it. Then offenses started running the ball. Completion percentages skyrocketed, and the air yards per completion plummeted. It's boring. I don't like it. And so defenses are starting to be aggressive, especially on first and second down again, and they're starting to blitz. Look at the Bills game. Look at what Atlanta did to them. They didn't sit back. They didn't keep everything in front and die a slow death and pray for stops in the red zone. They came after Josh Allen. And guess what? The Bills had zero answers.
Yep.
Zero. He got sacked 4 times, which is the third most he's ever been sacked in his career. They blitzed him on 56% of his dropbacks, which is the highest rate that he's faced since week 8 of 2021. I feel like you with all these stats. And they were absolutely shell-shocked. They had no answers, and they just kept showing Josh on the bench. He had that blank stare, like, what the hell are we supposed to do? But obviously, Atlanta comes into the game off of a bye. They saw something to where they were going to be able to affect Josh and the rhythm of this offense, and they went and they did it. And it made me happy, not because the Bills lost, but because it wasn't a boring brand of defense. They weren't afraid to come after him, and it worked. And it's a copycat league, so guess what? These game plans are going to keep coming at the Bills, and more teams are going to start doing it because they're aggressive and they're putting pressure on these quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's what you got to love about football. You can feel the defenses have finally said, hey, listen, we're taking the game back. We've talked about offensive football, the production offenses they're having, and we want to take that back. We're not going to give up these freebie yards anymore. And I really think you look at Brian Flores in Minnesota, and I kind of think in the last few years that's been their trend, right? They're going to kind of give you a lot of looks where even if they are dropping back, they're not going to let you think that's what's happening. They're going to disguise the crap out of it, and then they're going to bring pressures at times that you don't have answers for, and everybody's trying to figure it out. And you spend your whole week doing mental gymnastics of who has who. Well, then you look, the Steelers now even bringing a lot of early down pressures. Atlanta the other night. I think you start to see it's like, hey, we're about to get people down in the dirt. Like, we're hitting quarterbacks. We're going to strike these runs with blitzers hitting the A gap and B gap and trying to stop these runs. We're not going to sit back and just take it anymore. I think, to me, a little bit of this bend, don't break era is changing. Teams are starting to say, forget bending and breaking. Let's go break from the jump. Find a way to get the football back in our hands, run the football ourselves and possess it. I think that's one of the things I love, is that it's almost bringing that physicality side back to football that I think of a little bit, when we got in the league, that's all it was just, running the football, being able to pound and impose your will on each other. Now defenses are starting to say, hey, we're not going to sit back and take it. We're going to bring our physicality to the game as well.
Yeah, and think about what that does for a quarterback. I mean, I think so many of these teams just let quarterbacks off the hook, and especially young quarterbacks. I want to make the quarterback uncomfortable. I want to make him uncomfortable before he gets the ball in his hand. Pre-snap, he's having to look and diagnose and figure out what his pressure plan is. And then I want to change the picture and show him something different after the snap. Or I want to come after him and make him uncomfortable. And I feel like you mentioned the Vikings. They're some of the best to do it. The Broncos, the Packers, the Chiefs, all these teams are starting to do this where they're getting after the quarterback. They're putting them in stressful situations. And with that, you're exhausted by the time you get to the fourth quarter because of the mental energy that you have to expend during a game to try to figure all of this out. You don't get any plays off. And then the next thing is, I love that these quarterbacks are getting hit and they're going to have to wake up sore, not just on Monday, but on Tuesday as well, and get ready for the next week. But challenging these quarterbacks is important. I just think we went too far in the last few years of sitting back and letting it happen and trying to stop them in the red zone. So I've been very happy with the trend. Pittsburgh, is awesome on defense. They are fun to watch. They had a couple games where they gave up a bunch of points, but they forced 5 turnovers against the Patriots. And even though Flacco's a veteran, expect nothing less. They're coming after him. They're going to make him uncomfortable. He's a statue in the pocket, but he's a vet. He's seen it all. He's played against them plenty, but he's only been there for less than 2 weeks. So I think in the Steelers game, we're going to see more of the same. But I will say, in that second half, I watched it this morning, Flacco was dealing in the second half, and I think there's a renewed energy for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins with a new quarterback back there that can deliver him the rock.
Yeah, I think you can feel that you're reminded why those two receivers are so special and why they make that offense. When you see somebody start getting them the football and getting some confidence and momentum going, it starts to become, one of those things where you're like, man, how in the world do those two guys are you not explosive offensively? Because you start to try to take one away and the other one's going to kill you. And really their skill sets that are so different make it even more challenging. And so I think when you look at this team, it's nothing against Jake Browning and, hey, what you're incapable of. It's more of, to me, I think what Joe Flacco does is he brings a presence to a little bit of, you kind of talked about this about Daniel Jones and his experience with the Giants, but think of Flacco's career trajectory and so much, I'm sure, to you when you were at the end of your career. What are you going to throw at Joe Flacco that he hasn't experienced or done? So the calm, the poise that he has in that huddle, yes, there's some mental gymnastics of things going on in his head of like, man, trying to understand the concept that he just heard this week or maybe what they're doing, but his actual demeanor and, hey, I'm going to get you guys the football, and he knows how to get guys going. He knows how to get their confidence going. I think that settleness in the huddle probably is a really good thing for a team that's just looking for some positivity, of him just being in that huddle, being Joe Cool and being like, hey, man, listen, give me some opportunities. I'm going to give you guys opportunities. And you look at it, it's still a problem. They can't run the football. It's going to be an issue all year.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. And so it's gonna come to a head. But you know what? The Green Bay Packers were a team that like to play zone, like to sit back, and this year that's kind of their style, and trust their rushers. I think they're going to get a different experience from the Steelers this week. I think the Steelers are going to come after them. Now, at the same time, that also means that there's 2 receivers out there that might get some one-on-one coverage opportunities, and Flacco's got the arm and the ability to get them the football. So I'm interested to see that chess match play out.
Yeah, and I love the quotes from Orlando Brown and Jamar Chase during the week, which was essentially like, again, no disrespect to Jake Browning, but the organization went out and they did something, and they're trying to get better.
Well, I said it the week before at the desk, right? I said it the week before. I said, hey, Tony and everybody was having a great conversation about what it would mean to trade for a guy. And I said, hey, here's the reality. Like, in their history, they've never done this. They've never traded for a guy to come in and start that I can ever imagine thinking of. And I know it wasn't in the last 20, 30 years. And so to do it, I think sends a message like, hey, we're not going to just sit here. And I think that's awesome to their football team and their building, probably, to just continue to do those kind of things, push our boundaries. I think, we went on part of our trip last week. We got a chance to go on Pat McAfee, and I think I ruffled some feathers probably talking about the O-line stuff. But the truth of that is it's the same thing. Like, I love the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a place that means a lot to me. What I'm saying is continue to push your own butt. Like, hey, are we really undercovering? Are we picking up every rock and looking under it? Are we trying every means possible? Because I know as a left tackle, as a quarterback, as any player that's playing for that football team, you're telling me you want me to be my absolute best every year. You want me every season to reevaluate, come back and be a better version of who I was from the year before, continue to grow and adapt to what the game brings. And that's how I'm successful, right? As a front office, it's no different. If we're struggling to draft offensive linemen, if we're struggling to figure out who we should re-sign and not re-sign as offensive line position, what are we doing to get better at it? What are you showing me that there's a better evaluation process? What are you showing me that we're going to say, hey, we're going to bring more people in. We'll bring former players in, coaches. Maybe it's somebody that's really a O-line guru out there that we think, hey, man, this is somebody we really think he has a high opinion of training players. Like, I just want to see that part of the building say, hey, the same standard it is for every coach and every player. Let's do the same thing. If there's something we're failing in, where do we find a way to grow and adapt to what the league is now? It is very hard to find offensive linemen, but it doesn't mean that you got to stop at, hey, we're just not good at it. You got to continue to find what's the best way possible to find the best guys to play offensive line for our football team.
I think the Flacco move resonated, that they are going to try to help this team out. You know who it didn't resonate with? Mike Tomlin.
No, it did
Mike
not.
Tomlin was not very
He's
happy
not
with
happy.
my guy, Andrew Berry. You know, Andrew Berry is a former Harvard football player. So, yes, he is a smart guy, Mike. But I know he's not happy about I actually kind of like that trade. You think this guy was good enough to be a starter for you and you traded him in division 5 weeks later?
That was a good bar. And usually Mike Tomlin's always good for some good bars. And that was a strong one and pretty hard to argue with. That's for sure.
I wanted to bring this stat up because you had mentioned, and I wrote it on one of my yellow Post-it notes. You said the Bengals are last in the NFL in rushing yards, 56.7 yards a game.
Woof.
That's 25 fewer yards than the 31st ranked Tennessee Titans. So not just are they last, they are god awful at running the football.
That's not good, boys.
Whit, it leads me to this, and I need you to talk me off the ledge here. The Bills, they've got no Kincaid going into their game against Atlanta. You know, start off the game, great throw to Josh Palmer. He's got a few big catches, and he gets hurt. The Bills' offense is obviously struggling. Josh isn't seeing the field great. He's under duress. He's missing a lot of his throws low for some reason, which is uncharacteristic for him. So wouldn't you say the strength of this team, besides Josh Allen, is the offensive line and James Cook? The guy only had 6 carries in the first half. So look, this is where I was excited. They come out of the locker room, and they have a statement drive. They got lucky at the end of the first half. Drake London stepped out of bounds on the half-inch line. I know all about half inches. And they get James Cook involved. He's got 5 carries for 37 yards in the first drive. They go right down the field, and they score.
Yep.
And then he only touches the ball 6 more times the rest of the game. What are we doing? Andrew, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's continued to say, I know when we had their game, I made the point too. It's like we talk about all these pieces, and I just don't feel like people talk about James Cook enough. I mean, this offensive line and James Cook, to me, are their X factor. When people say, where is their X receiver? Where is the guy who's like, man, that guy that you're saying, hey, in crunch time, this is who we got to go to. To me, it's James Cook, and I'm finding a million ways to get him the football. I think you even look at like San Francisco and what they do with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, they haven't been able to run the ball well. San Francisco hasn't. So what have they done? They've just made him literally a receiver. Every possible way.
Passing game.
Every possible way they can, they're getting Christian McCaffrey a touch. James Cook is that good to me. Like, I want to see this guy get as many touches as possible every game. I want to I saw them put up, things about Bijan Robinson and I loved that. It doesn't say carries. It doesn't say receptions. It just says touches. And it's talking about how many times he touches the football for the Atlanta Falcons and how good they've been because of it on offense. To me, that's James Cook. Like, I don't want to see how many carries he's gotten. I want to see how many times he's touch the football. Like, I'm talking handoffs, passes. Like, he should be the focus of how you bring about this offense. And then all those other pieces are second to me, because I think he's got to be the guy that sets the tone. I think of the big moments of the Bills in the playoffs in the years past. I think of the big moments and big games for them. To me, it goes back to not just a Josh Allen crazy play, big runs from James Cook, big possessions where they give the ball to him a lot and they get some momentum and get going offensively, and it opens everything else up for him. He's got to be the focal point of this offense, to me, for them to continue to grow into what they're going to have to be, because the truth is, on the outside, Fitz, I don't think they scare a lot of people. And so I think that you're going to have to lean on James Cook.
My whole thing is, Peyton Manning, famously has said, I never made any adjustments at halftime. We basically had time to go in there and eat oranges and get a drink of water and come back out. But during that game, you could see that Josh wasn't at his best, that the plan that they had wasn't really working. And so, to your point of getting James Cook the ball, look, they have other running backs, Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, that they won in there on third down. But it's like he wasn't on the field for any of the third downs. He wasn't on the field for the fourth down. Like, at some point, you have to adjust. You had to realize during that game, and you did at halftime, we need to get this guy the ball.
Yeah.
They got him the ball. It worked, and then it all just went away. So to your point of finding ways to get him the ball, maybe it wasn't in the run game as that game progressed, but you got to deviate from the plan a little bit and get the ball into his hands. And you could see the frustration that he had on the sideline. I think every Bills fan was feeling that as well. But I just, if we're talking about blueprints here, how do you beat the Bills? Well, the formula is very simple. Don't let them score 30 points on offense. So in the regular season, the last 2 years, they're 15-1 when they score 30 or more. the loss, you and I were both at that game. Do you remember what game that was, Andrew?
What's
the
that?
Rams game where they lost
I
44
remember,
to 42.
buddy. Don't
We were in the owner's suite, and Tate wasn't allowed to cheer.
Yeah, I remember just being nervous about your kids cheering. That was my biggest concern. I was going to get kicked out of Kroenke's suite.
When they score 30 or more, they're 15-1 the last 2 years in the regular season. And if you hold them under 30, they're 2-5. So it's super simple formula. That puts a lot on the offense, puts a lot on Josh, but I don't think, they're so banged up on defense right now. I just don't think you're right that their defense scares anybody right now. And for their offense to kind of sputter the last 2 weeks, this is like the panic meter you have for every team. What's it at? Well, Josh Allen's still the quarterback, so I don't know that you could panic right now.
Yeah, I'm not panicking with him as the quarterback, but I do think defensively they've got to kind of find how they're going to slow some teams down, and offensively we got to find more ways to give James Cook the football.
Toyota is all in all season. This year, we're going deeper and giving fans more to lose their minds over, bringing back another exciting year of Toyota Game Day giveaways. The official automotive partner of the NFL is rewarding football fans with a chance to win epic giveaways every week of the season.
Predict between big plays happening in the second half of every Sunday night football game and get a chance to win prizes like Brock Purdy's Sequoia, NFL shop merch, and more.
Toyota has a deep roster of athletes, including past and present superstars like Puka Nacua, Eli Manning, and Michael Pittman Jr.
And don't forget their newest athlete, Jordan Love.
It's 22 weeks of fun and thousands of prizes. Head over to toyota.com/NFL to learn more. That's toyota.com/NFL.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Ends on 2/8/26. Open to legal residents of the 50 U.S. D.C. 18 and over. For complete details, how to enter prizes, and official rules, visit www.toyotasgamedaygiveaways.com.
Yeah. And so, speaking of panic meters, let's go to the worst team.
Oh, man.
In the
and
league
you're going
right
to tell
now.
me it's not the 0-6 Jets. Is that right?
Like, it's the Titans.
Oh,
it
well,
has to be the
I agree with you there.
right?
No,
I don't
remember the Arizona
close.
game. They played exactly how they wanted to. You forgot the quote.
I do, yeah.
The Callahan press conference. I thought, honestly, God, I'm not kidding. I think that's what did it. I think that's why Callahan got fired.
Well, they used the force, and they forced DeMercado to drop the ball on the half-inch line. And then they thought, gosh, we're struggling on offense. What can we do? We can throw an interception.
Yep. And have him fumble it.
The guy fumble into the end zone, and then Tyler Lockett can recover it. That's kind of what
exactly how we wanted to play.
I think it's not even close. The other bad teams right now, record-wise, New Orleans. I think New Orleans is getting better. I mean, I think Kellen Moore is actually doing a good job with Spencer.
Yeah, I was going to say, you liked Spencer last year, like just some things you saw on tape about him. You thought he had some potential.
I thought he had some stuff to him. I think Kellen's doing a nice job with him. The problem with Spencer is it's like, I mean, he fell into a situation where he's the starter this year.
Right.
Time's kind of running out. You got to show it. You got to prove it. But that team, what I'm interested in with the Saints is, okay, as this season progresses, they continue to lose games. You start looking at pieces that they can trade away. And we know how much our guy Sean Payton loves Alvin Kamara.
Oh, I love this. I love what you're about to say.
I just wonder if at some point during the season before the trade deadline that makes sense to send Alvin to the Broncos.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one. You brought up the Titans too. I mean, what about Jeffrey Simmons? I mean, is that somebody they would hold on to? Like, or do you start to move him? I was watching him on tape thinking that.
I am calling
Brandon Beane.
Bergonzi? Is that who's Mike Bergonzi? Maybe I'm calling him and I'm saying this. I'm saying, hey, it's really interesting. I didn't know you played football at Brown in the late 90s and early 2000s. And then the second thing I would say is, what is it going to take for you to trade Jeffrey Simmons?
No doubt.
He's going to say nothing, and then you're just going to sit in silence, and then you say, seriously, what's it going to take? Because I think that's the type of move that would be huge for the spirits of the Bills and the Bills Mafia.
I do. I think Titans is going to have to be a reset. So it's like that is an interesting one. Like, is that really, obviously he's a tremendous player, but the opportunity to get what you could get for Jeffrey Simmons and move forward, is that probably more enticing for all the things you need to do to rebuild this roster?
One of the other teams with a poor record, the Giants. I mean,
we
lived it, baby.
They're coming back though, Fitz.
That frat boy energy between Jaxson Dart and Cam Skattebo.
Dude, I mean,
that was fun, man. That was fun.
I loved it. Not only like just their energy, but their confidence too. And that, like Jaxson Dart saying, like to be able to say as a rookie, and look, and there may be some youthful, just not being able to understand maybe the situation, like maybe probably not the good thing to put expectations out already, but for him to be like, listen, these people need wins. And they need it bad, and we're going to give it to them. Like that tone from him is just like, hey, we're not hoping we do this. We're about to go change this whole place. And it still sticks out to me, because we talk about it all the time. There's guys that just bring this energy and make a team special, and you can't really explain it all the time through every X's and O, but it still sticks out to me having that conversation before the game with some of the Eagles coaches and them saying, yeah, man, and like we're locking in for tonight and this is a big one. People are expecting us to win big, but like, man, watching Jaxson Dart and Skattebo together on the field, there's a different energy when those two guys are out there, and we're prepared for it. And man, it's just for that to stick out to a team in your division, that there's just a different belief when you guys are on the field, makes me feel like this might be real. And I'm excited to see where the Giants go, because boy, does the league need the New York Giants to come back and one of those teams in New York to start dominating.
Yeah, and the league's better when Chicago's good too. But you and Sherm were laughing at me. I'm talking to Jaxson Dart after he gets off the desk, and basically just saying, and everybody's already said it to him, but you gotta protect yourself. But I also think there is a time and a place. There's a time and a place to bring that energy, to lower the shoulder when your team needs a lift. But he's gonna have to figure that out. And hopefully figures it out sooner than later.
I'm wondering if he gets fined for the flying spear move he had. I mean, that one.
Does he get fined for the flying spear, which was hilarious? Does Dable get fined for the blue tent incident? Does Skattebo get fined for the blue tent incident where he goes inside? And does Jaxson Dart get fined for high-fiving a ref? I've got a lot of questions from that game.
Well, I'm a fan of being fined. So as you brought up to the commissioner about my ejection status as a Walter Payton Man of the Year, I'm all about the fine system. So maybe this brings a little street cred to the New York Giants after this week.
Which, by the way, quick sidebar, I think suspending Branch for a game was completely the right move. It's something that doesn't belong in the game. I think something he showed a little bit of remorseful for, although he had some comments where it was like, yeah, but they were bullying me during the game or whatever he said. But I loved what Dan Campbell said. I love that he came out and basically just said, like, that shit doesn't belong in our league. And that's not who we are. And when you look at leadership and a head coach like that, to me, was really cool.
I agree. I thought that it's, again, another reminder while Dan Campbell it was meant to lead, man. I mean, people talking about who this team will be with all these coordinators gone, and I don't see anything different in their identity and who they are. I mean, sure, have some games not gone the way they want them to go, but they're still right there in them. They're still playing the style and the identity that they always play with. And so I think this team's, again, going to be one of these teams at the end of the season we're talking about fighting for an opportunity to go play in the NFC Championship. And Dan Campbell just continues to show you why he was meant to be at the helm with the way he leads.
Yeah, this is exactly what he said. I have the quote here. I love Brian Branch, but what he did was inexcusable. And it's not going to be accepted here. It's not what we do. It's not what we're about. I apologize to Coach Reed and the Chiefs and Schuster. That's not okay. That's not what we do here. It's not going to be okay. He knows it. Our team knows it. And that's not what we do. And this is right after the game, too.
Yep.
So this was
in the moment. This isn't like, oh, man, control your emotions. Like, no, in the moment, that was his response. And that, to me, is why I say that about leadership. That's who that guy is.
Yeah, because I think a normal response would be, well, I've got to see it. I got to take a look. We'll evaluate. But it wasn't. He saw it.
Or Justin Fields played great. I don't know what your problem is. You know?
All right. So before we get to the Jets and why I don't think they're the worst team in the league, even though they're 0-6, the Cardinals. So the Cardinals have lost 4 straight. We remember they started 2-0, but it's like we can shit on Kyler Murray and the Cardinals all we want. Let's take a look at their 4 losses. They've lost by 1 point, 3 points, 1 point, and 4 points. To me, that's like the NFL and the parity right now. The Cardinals were a feisty team last year. They're feisty again this year. They've lost some guys due to injury, but it's like they're close to 0-6, but they're also close to 6-0. And that's just how wild. I mean, right.
Yeah, but I think they're
I'm not saying they're a good team. I'm just saying that's how wild
I think
this
they're
league is right
defensively.
now.
It is, but I think they're defensively driven, and I think this defense has kept them in a lot of these games. And just personally, I think as a leader and the energy and aura is the exact thing we're talking about. Some of these guys, Jaxson Dart, some of these guys that they bring to their football team, Josh Allen, you name it, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, apparently Jacoby Brissett, since they had their best offensive game without him. I just think Kyler Murray doesn't bring it, and to me, it's not like I'm not a fan of the human being. I just on the football field and in that position and at the helm, I don't see enough moments where he's the guy in people's ears. He's the guy leading the football team, speaking life into who they are. I think if even the play that you brought up with DeMarcado, why is it Paris Johnson that's sitting there talking to that guy? You are the franchise quarterback. If there's anybody that should be in that circle, it should be you, making sure that DeMarcado knows you're still going to need him to win this game. We got to be in this thing. Like, I don't understand why you're not in the circle there talking to this guy who's upset and clearly distraught. And yeah, you're going to say, oh, man, that was that one time. No, there's countless moments we can go.
Harrison drops, the intercept.
It's countless
over
moments.
and over again.
And so I'm not bagging on him as a football player. I'm bagging on him as a leader. And I just don't see it. I don't see the energy. I don't see the positivity. I don't see him being the driving force to why this football team's going to go win a championship or do something special. And so for that reason, I'm not big on it. I get that they've been close in these games. In my opinion, they'd win all those games if he was a little bit better of a leader.
So that brings us to the Jets. They're 0-6.
Everything's great.
Me and you have been 0-6 on a team before. I've been 0-6 on multiple teams, Whit. And so
I've been 0-6.
The Jets they're at a fork in the road right now. It's either going to go one way or the other. I think, the one way is the team quits on Aaron Glenn. They give up on the season. They don't practice hard. They don't play well. But the other one is they fight. And I don't think this team's going to quit on Aaron Glenn.
No.
And I think when you do get in situations like this, you look at the upcoming schedule. What is it? Well, they've got a home game against Carolina coming up. Guess what? Carolina hasn't won on the road yet this year. And then they're at Cincy, which is certainly a very winnable game there. And then they have their bye week. So coming out of the bye week, they play Cleveland, they play New England, they play Baltimore.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just think we look at these next 5 games as a great opportunity to kind of get the train back on track. I think if you're Aaron Glenn, you have to make a move at quarterback. It just hasn't gone great. You need a spark. Tyrod has already gone in and played well this season. So when we talk about the Bengals and making the move and bringing in Flacco, I think this provides a little bit of a spark to that team, a little bit of a lift to get Tyrod in the lineup. And I think at this point, it's the right move, which doesn't mean you can't go back to Justin Fields at a later point, but I think we're looking for any sort of boost we can get in that locker room right now, and I think that may provide it.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm big on this, man. When I look at an offense, no different than Caleb Williams last year in Chicago, I start to look for who are the veteran leaders on this side of the football, and who is it that we're leaning on in that huddle. When we talked about Kyler Murray and the energy he does or doesn't bring, the reason I'm saying that is like when you're in a huddle, a lot of people don't understand this. Like you get mic'd up segments where a certain guy's mic'd up and the quarterback's got stuff in his ear, the coordinator's talking to him, but there's always these guys that are in the huddle, in that circle, like, hey, we got this, boys. Lock in. Let's get focused. I think of our Super Bowl winning drive against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cam Akers will forever be in my mind, in my ear. I always will think of, I'll never forget every single snap he got in that huddle, and he's like, we're about to go do something special. We're about to win the Super Bowl. Like, this is it, guys. Best you've ever got. Every single play. And it's like every guy kind of just shut up and let him have it because we get this feel like he was on one and there was this moment. And so I look in a huddle and I go, who is that for the New York Jets? Well, you got a second-year guy playing at left tackle who's going to be a really good football machado. You got Mimbu, my guy, at right tackle, a young guy, right? So I start to look at that group and I go, man, all right, it's tough to say who are like, there's a lot of young guys in here. Garrett Wilson's like trying, like the poor guy, like, man, literally, can we just get this guy some consistency on offense and get him the football as he's a special talent? But I just don't see a lot of guys in there that I go, all right, this is the kind of guy I'm thinking in these moments, who's there for him. And so with Justin Fields in there, it's just, it's like a little bit of like, we're limited. We know we're limited. And what is really the life that's being brought to that huddle? Whereas like what Joe Flacco brings, it's not necessarily what he's going to say. It's the demeanor and just the aura in the presence of, I've been here, I've done that. Tyrod Taylor's going to bring the same thing into that huddle. I've played a lot of football, guys. Like, he's going to have a little comment or a little thought here or there that can just help them in some of these moments, right? Taking care of the football or being big on third down or like any of those type things, right? Like, I used to always say this in our huddle. Every time it came to third and long, I was like, man, these are the plays when special guys play special. I would always say that to our receivers because that's inevitably the NFL. You're going to get in third and longs. You're going to get in third and got to have it situations. And you know what you're going to be defined by? Who it is in your huddle that loves those moments and wants to go make special plays. And so to me, I think that when you think about this Jets huddle, it's too many variables. And so it's like, hey, put that veteran guy in there that just gives them some stability and some calm and let them go develop some confidence because you need to run the football with this group. You need to go play physical and then give Garrett Wilson his consistent opportunities to catch the football. And I think that they just be better. I think it would just give them some stability on offense.
Maybe that's why I threw so many interceptions on third and long. I had you on my shoulder saying, all right, be special, make a play. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's it.
You know?
Right? Or maybe
Aaron
you needed
Rodgers,
me.
by the way.
No.
Aaron Rodgers on third and long, 3rd and 10 plus.
Woo.
He's getting rid of that thing. It is not putting it in harm's way. They're playing, they're living to see another series or another to punt that thing away and let the defense play. That certainly has stood out to me this year when watching them. All right, I'm going to give you. I played in a flag football game in London a few days ago, right after our trip to New York and our hangout with the frat boys, Jaxson Dart and Cam Skattebo. I'm going to tell you the guys on my team, guys and gals on my team, and you need to tell me if you've ever heard of them, okay? The captain of my roster was a rapper named H.
Okay. I've heard of him. I wouldn't say that I'm very familiar with him.
Okay. So Captain H, Aitch. So I was a little hesitant to say his name because I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. And then I realized it's just the spelling of the letter H. That's his name, H. Mm-hmm. All right. What about Adam W?
No, I don't know who Adam W is.
Well, Adam W has 20.9 million YouTube subscribers.
What?
So we should get to know Adam. Adam played in college. It was a pretty competitive game. Ocho Cinco was on the other side. Adam played in college and did a nice job, especially on defense. Ashley Clam, I don't expect you to know, but she was an absolute stud. I'll show you some highlights of her. Michael Venom Page, you heard of him?
Yeah, remember him.
UFC guy, yeah. Okay. SV2, you heard of SV2? Mm-mm. No, over 5 million subscribers on YouTube. Mabel, you heard of the singer Mabel?
Vaguely.
I think you've probably heard of one of her songs. She was drinking during the game and didn't want to play. But I was trying to get everybody.
I like Mabel. Mabel and I can hang.
No, Mabel was awesome. I was trying to get everybody a touchdown, get everybody involved. And at the end of the game, we gave her 2 handoffs. One I put in the back of her shirt, and we had a little trick play. She almost scored. She just didn't want to break a nail. Phoebe Schechter, you probably don't know her, but I do the Super Bowl with her with Sky Sports every year. Jay Cinco, the rapper. You heard of him?
Okay. Not Ocho Cinco. Okay.
Not Ocho Cinco, but Jay Cinco was lighting it up. He was the MVP of the game. Thogden, I know you haven't heard of him.
No.
He's an influencer. And AJ Green, how about that?
Oh, AJ, Cincinnati Bengals, baby. Let's go.
Oh, no, not that AJ Green. There's a third E in his last name. He's also an influencer. He caught a touchdown as well. He was a stud.
A lot of influencers. So you're an influencer.
So it was awesome. And the funny thing, too, though, was you could see it just all came back to me. I went straight back to 2008. Ocho Cinco was getting frustrated. He wasn't getting the rock.
Give me the peel.
You could see the frustration building, but it was 7-on-7, and he's running like actual routes. Like he's running 18-yard comebacks and 20-yard digs. And it's like, Chad, just stand there and tell him to throw you the ball and catch it and then make everybody miss. But the frustration was
Ocho.
big.
My favorite Ocho moment, Fitz, he once cried after an OTA practice, like literally pouring tears, crying, because Marvin ended practice before he got the ball. Like he was like, I didn't get the ball any today. And he was devastated, and he wanted Marvin to extend the OTA practice. And he started crying as we're trying to break it down as a team.
That is hilarious.
And that is so Chad. Cry on the spot.
I wanted to send you give you a quick shout out and a thank you for agreeing my son Brady is part of the Harvard Rocketry
Oh,
Club.
yeah. I'm excited about
And
this.
they needed a sponsorship. So the Fitz and Whit podcast stepped up. We gave them some cash, and this is kind of a new up-and-coming club. But with giving them a little sponsorship, we now have the list. We have the list of all the kids in the club. So if we ever want to hire these guys,
that's what the investment was for.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they could help us. I don't know.
Or let me just buy into the companies they all create. That'd be great.
Yeah, we're in, baby. That's going to be fun, though, and that'll help them. Making rockets is expensive.
I would imagine it is.
Yeah, so that'll be really cool. But thank you for doing that. Do we have a big Whit energy of the week? I feel like your energy, was kind of by the end of the trip got a little low. So I don't know.
There wasn't a lot of big Whit energy there.
Can we kick it back into high
I don't
gear
think that's true. I think that I had plenty of energy on the trip, but you know what? We can definitely kick it up because the big Whit energy of the week, this one's an easy one, Fitz. We went to Indy last week, got a chance to sit down with Daniel Jones. I really enjoyed after the conversation, even getting a chance to kind of visit with Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard and Miss Carly Ursay. And, kind of getting a feel for that building and the confidence, the energy's in there. And then lo and behold, they go out this week. They play the Cardinals, who we just talked about, Kyler Murray on the other side of the ball and Jacoby Brissett's performance. But that Cardinals defense this year has been a good group and has kind of been an identity for them. And the Colts just do what they've done all year. And that is go out and play winning style football. And you look at this offensive line. Look, all they've done is provided protection for Daniel Jones, lanes for Jonathan Taylor. I mean, there's a couple guys on this group that I could give it to, but your big Whit energy of the week is going to my main man, Quentin Nelson, baby.
Q.
Locking it down. Big Q. I wanted to give it to Caden Proctor. I don't know if you watched the Alabama game. He got back in shotgun and caught a snap this week again. Like, what is the deal?
Score.
I mean,
he didn't score, right?
Here's my problem, and I'm gonna have to be honest. Caden, it's awesome, dude. I'm glad we got a chance to give you a big Whit energy, but this is 2 now and we still don't have points. We got to get some points. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We got to get some points. At some point, we got to get in the end zone. I mean, that's just the reality. We got to get in the end zone so we can cap it off. But if they're putting him in shotgun and snapping him footballs, I think it's coming. Obviously, they have a lot of confidence in this guy. But I'm going to say it's Quentin Nelson just for how he played, man. His physicality at that guard position fits, man. You would have loved a guy like this. The finish he has on people. And one of my favorites, defensive ends. If you spin inside, you will never spin inside again to Quentin Nelson's side. He got him one this week. A spinner guy went to spin inside, and he absolutely decapitated this guy. Old school guard football. I'll never forget sitting in meeting rooms with Willie Anderson, and he used to always tell Bobby Williams, Big Bobby, the boss man, if this guy goes inside, Bobby, you got to make him pay. And he would tell us that all the time. You got to help your tackles. The guy ever goes inside, make him pay. And so seeing Big Q do that, man, he's a legend. He's been a great player. He's going to end up being a Hall of Fame type guy. But, man, let me tell you something. With that dude at the helm, this place is built through violence and consistency at the guard position by Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, he's also, though, if you've seen his mic'd up stuff, he's like a cheerleader. He's so excited and happy for everybody. You want to talk about a hype guy. You're talking about that guy in the huddle that you need, the leader, the guy that's going to get everybody up, that's going to, talk in those situations. I love watching his mic'd up because he's always helping people off the ground. He's always so positive.
He loves playing football.
He plays so mean. He plays so mean. All right. I like that one. We finally got away from the D line,
I didn't pick any D linemen. I referred to some D linemen. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Hey, Fred Johnson was pumped. He saw us at the game. He thanked us for picking him as the Big Whit energy of the week. That was cool. That was really neat.
Okay. He's a big man, by the way.
Big man.
Oh, my God.
Very big man in those eyes.
Yeah.
Man.
I just want to talk about one more thing real quick on the road trip that we haven't been able to talk about on the podcast.
Are you about to expose me?
No, You had a stop in Lexington, Kentucky at Windstar Farms. You want to talk about a special?
I could go back right now.
So this is a horse farm. I think they have over 700 horses on the farm. To give you an idea of how big it is, they said there's over 150 miles of fencing on this property. They've got a full track, 7.5 furlongs. What were the things they were telling us about the horses and how they can
Oh my God!
Train.
Listen,
the horse.
My favorite part, Fitz, I wanted to go be a horse. By the time we got the presentation, they're talking about how they run them and get them, kind of have their exercise in the mornings. They feed them, and then you go into like hyperbaric chambers, and you get these salt baths, and they dry needle them, they massage them. Like, dude, what is happening? Like, what a life these things. And so I think just realizing a place like that, they have an underwater treadmill situation. Like it's things that you think of in an elite professional sports building. And I guess it makes sense when you start talking about the money that's involved in these things. The way they take care of these horses is unbelievable. Every detail. I mean, he was even talking to us a little bit about they've tried like, would it be worth getting an infrared sauna room? Would it be worth, some of these oxygen chambers, like how people go train at altitude, like all these different things. They're trying to find every little inch they can of like how we can help this horse be better and be more prepared for races. It was really cool to see that it's much more than just, breeding a horse and like, hey, we're going to hope it works out and it's fast. Like there is everything like in pro sports. They are turning over every rock to try and find a way to make these things be successful.
The breeding part of it was fascinating too. We got
that was really cool
of them just looking at lineages and taking it back generations and
tap it. Gun runner. I'm trying to think. I mean, listen, all kinds. We got to hear about all the history.
AP Indy. I mean, we even saw Secretariat's name up there a couple generations back, but that part of it was fascinating too, and how they figure out which mares are going to come in to breed with which stallions, and that part was great. And of course,
I would have loved a photo of you up there. They had a couple where it was like the horse had a little bit too short. They didn't like the front arms. The length wasn't good, but big old rear end. They're like, oh, I love the rear end, but don't love those arms. A little too short up front.
See, that's what I think they would, if they saw you, they'd want to breed you with a mare with a big ass.
Yeah.
I think that because you got that triangle shape with your upper body, and they kept talking about glutes. They need a little more.
They need some glutes.
I think. Yeah. For me, it would be like, oh, I don't know. He's a little frumpy. I don't think we want to breed that one. Which look, that's fine too. But when we got to go into the breeding room and we saw those. Gosh, they look like a jousting stick from American Gladiators.
This is a
and I had to ask what they were for. Well,
of course you did.
They were for warming up the mares. Then we'll leave it at that. But man, Constitution is impressive.
And then you wanted to go just take pictures of the whole room, and then you wanted to go see Constitution again. Oh man, it was a fun week.
It was, and it was such an impressive.
Elliot, appreciate
property.
You, brother. That was a really cool day, man.
You're the man. You made it very special for us.
Windstar Farms, baby.
It was an awesome trip. So glad that we got to do it together, and I think it's going to be an annual thing. We just got to convince our wives that it can be an annual thing.
Yeah, we might have to let them ride for a minute.
All right, I don't really want to do Harvard versus Hank this week because I'm on a bit of a losing streak. I don't know.
Right.
I think that you're throwing this whole thing.
What?
So I'm 15-5-1. Hank. He's coming in hot, but he's 14-6-1. So I have the overall best record.
Yeah, I don't want to hear this overall shit. It's week to week. All right, he beat you one week, you beat him another. Like I'm not doing this. All right.
How did he know that the Patriots
were
going to beat the Bills? Like that didn't make any sense. Hank,
well, he believes in Braves. He believes in Vrabel and Will Campbell, baby. I've been talking about Will all year. Damn it, I hadn't given him big Whit Energy yet, have I? Gosh. All right, dude, Will, play good for me, buddy.
Yeah, if he'll be on there shortly.
Do something special for me, Will.
I've been awful this year picking games though. For our TNF games, I'm 1-4. Which
I'm not even going to show you my DraftKings. I've been getting just torched. Not good.
Well, at least I'm not losing my life savings like you are then. All right, you want to bring in Hank? All right, I picked a bunch of the morning slate games for you, Hank. Gosh, it's a bad slate. Of games.
It's a miserable slate of games.
Let's start with Chicago and New Orleans, Hank. What do you think?
Hank, who you got? That was an easy decision.
Wow, big Saints guy. I'm going to go with the Bears in that game.
Okay.
Let's go Miami and Cleveland. I think Miami gets it done. I think Miami's going to win this game.
You're going Miami?
We need some good vibes in that locker room.
Okay. Miami, Cleveland, Hank. Whoa, think about it. Oh, he took the paper too.
No, I knew. He was just going to listen to my pick anyway. He always does that. All right, we've got Las Vegas and the Chiefs. I'm all in on the Chiefs. They're winning the Super Bowl this year, baby. I'm picking the Chiefs.
Whoa.
Chiefs.
Get him down. He's just listening to you. Why don't you make him pick first?
No, I'll let him pick first. It's because he loves Travis Kelce. You know that. All right, Philly and Minnesota. An actual game worth a darn. This is going to be interesting. I'm fascinated by the Eagles right now. Who are you going to pick, Hank?
Hank likes turkey. I don't know if y'all know this. Oh, he won't even let me get him down.
He's a big Sirianni guy.
Man, big Sirianni guy. Can you think about it, Hank, a little bit?
I'm going Vikings.
Oh, I like it. Let's create a separation.
That is going to be a good game. That'll be the big one probably on our TV screen. All right, and then Carolina and the Jets. Hank, I'm telling you right now, the Jets are going to get on the board and win their first game of the year.
He's thinking this time. Oh, he goes against you. He goes against you. He went Jets and then changed his mind.
Carolina's kind of been a Jekyll and Hyde team this year.
Yeah, I'm interested, Fitz, you bring that up in the Carolina Panthers. Like, can you show some consistency, right? It's like 1 minute they look like a football team, and then the next, not so much. And I want to see what this team looks like against a Jets team where it's like, all right, it's a good defense, physical team. You know, can we do something and go win a football game on the road?
Yeah, and can I do something and beat Hank for the first time in 3 weeks? I hope so.
No chance, bud.
Well, that's it for us. We'll be back next Wednesday with all the biggest news from Week 7, and we're going to be responding to your comments. You know what? We didn't pick a beard of the week this week because nobody was deserving. So we need you to bring it for next week. I searched across the pond. I was looking in London. I didn't find anybody. Send us your beard pics. We need you to be deserving.
Come on, beardos.
Follow the show on all social media at Fitz and Whit with the A-N-D spelled out. Fitz and Whit is a Wave original. Thanks again to Roger Goodell and the team at the NFL for joining us. And thank you to our production crew as always. And thanks again to all you beardos for tuning in. We will see you next week. Peace.